I was doing nothing. I was at zero.
Mm.
I mean, I started this, I put the website up in 2023. Um, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to go out there, run a couple ads and start getting customers. And then I'll start sending emails out and got all that kind of stuff done. And it was like, boom, let's go back and start from the beginning. So I was doing nothing, right? So when I started in July, I had a few sales. I mean, I had some pretty good SEO and my products are pretty good to keep. So I had the random sale here and there that was organic. But when I started in July, I started, just like the course said, you go out there and test some ad sets and you start with low with budget. And um, so I've been running ads now about 4.5, 5 months. And I just looked because I don't generally look, but right now I'm up to about $700 sales days.
Mm.
Um, and we haven't even hit Black Friday yet. So I went from 0 to $700 sales days in 4.5 months,
Mm.
just from my ads. Yeah, about
Yeah.
21,000 a month now.
Mm. Uh,
So, so it's been wonderful. I mean,
mm.
once again, I'm super happy that I'm at that. I didn't expect it. And, but uh, I followed my own goals and I methodically went. I didn't go as fast as a lot of the people in the community, but I went at a pace that was comfortable for me. Um, and just like everything else I do, I was just consistent. And I'll never forget my best performing creative. I woke up one morning and I like after a weekend, and there were probably 15 comments on this post. So I was like, oh my God. I almost didn't want to look, right? Because you don't know what people are going to say. And I got on, and it was like a whole group of friends saying, oh my God, you should put this up in your living room. This is such a great idea. Like pass this on to Susie and Joey and whatever.
Mhm.
And they kept sharing it. And it was like this band of 15 friends. And it was like, oh my God, they like my product. And
Yeah.
they found my product, right? On their Instagram and it was
Mhm.
like, it just was, I think one of the best days I've had so far with this. It was,
Mm.
there's nothing like a customer, like an honest, compliment from a customer. I feel so much smarter, so much more confident now. I'm 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 humbled by what I don't know, but I'm confident that I can, if I keep on the same methodical path and just keep growing the way I do. Like right after the first of the year, I'm going to go heavy into email marketing, right?
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
even at that point. Like, so my $700 days could be so much more, could be 30% higher with
100%.
email. I haven't added an upsell yet. I have a print that I could actually put in an upsell, but I didn't want to do that until I really got my arms around the customer acquisition part. I felt that that was
Mhm.
key. I probably am a little different from, well, maybe not, some of the other folks who have joined for Good Profits. Many of them had their website up and they were making sales, maybe not as many as they wanted, but for the past 10 years, have been selling exclusively on some of the major platforms. So specifically, I'm a 10-year, actually 11 years now, selling on Amazon, then went to Etsy also, and then started Walmart a few years back. And I always knew, I mean, those platforms are great. You get a lot of traffic, and so it's worth some of the headaches that, they bring.
Mm.
But it wasn't my customer. I didn't own that customer. And there's always the threat of, you could do something wrong and all of a sudden you're off the platform and, um, you know, all the nonsense they throw at you and the competition, gets particularly brutal. There's all sorts of, IP issues with people stealing your products and your
Mm.
things like that, though I suppose that happens everywhere. So I always knew in the back of my mind that at some point I really was going to take some of my better selling products and just go out on my own website uh, and start that. Let's take Amazon, for instance, right? You don't have to find a customers. Customers come, I mean, there's what, 240 million credit cards on file with Amazon. People go there to buy. They don't go there to browse. They don't go there to look. They go there to buy. So that type of sale was just, it's a big, it's understanding the keywords and writing a listing and getting that and trying to get on page one. So that was the type of selling I was doing. But when I put my own website up, the unit economics got a little different, right? So I obviously wasn't having to pay Amazon a commission. I wasn't having to pay their warehouses an FBA fee to store and fulfill. But all of a sudden I had this big lump of money I knew I was going to have to spend to acquire a customer. And that was a very, very different type of business than what I had been used to. And I thought, okay, no problem. I'll just go out and get an agency. I've worked with a bunch of I've worked with a bunch of agencies over the years. Let's get one that says they're really good at helping people who have brand new Shopify sites get up and find new customers. So I bought a few courses and jumped on with an agency, and it was a disaster from the start. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that, and I didn't realize this till later. I didn't have this sort of epiphany till later. It wasn't their responsibility to educate me. I asked a bunch of questions, but they were waiting for me to tell them how to do creative, and they were waiting for me for input on things that I wasn't educated in. So it was a little bit like the blind leading the semi-blind. And then when we went out running ads and things worked supposedly or didn't work, I had zero way to, I had no understanding. I mean, I was terrified. The first time I looked at the Meta Ads platform, I was like, what am I looking at? I have no idea how to evaluate this. I just spent $1,000 in 2 weeks and I have no idea. I got a few sales, but is this good? Like, did they work? You know what I mean? And the agencies, as many questions as I asked, I just felt very, very, it made me really nervous to spend money when I didn't understand how and why I was spending the money. And if I did get a win, what did I do that I could replicate again? Right? I had no understanding for that. So, and having throughout the years gone out and spent a fortune on Amazon ads and gone through the painful process of, blowing entire month worth of profit with an agency. And, you know how quickly the money can fly out the door with ads if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm like, I put the brakes on. I said, you guys, thanks. I'll be in touch, one of those things.
Yeah.
And that was about a year ago this time. And I sort of sat down and said, boy, I really need to take responsibility for how I'm spending money in my business. It's really not their fault. It's my fault because it's my responsibility to understand where every dollar in my business is going and get educated if I can. And so how you start thinking, and I'm writing down things and I'm sort of Googling around, and then the universe sort of answers you. And they did in pretty quick order because one of your ads popped up in my Instagram feed. And I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And, I got on and read watched a bunch of your YouTube reviews and had a call. I actually had 2 calls where we talked about it with people. And I thought, I gave it some thought and I set some goals out for myself. I said, I think this is for me. It's a commitment. But I think if I'm serious about doing this, I really need to make this commitment, both for me to get educated and to follow this program. And I jumped on with very specific goals,
mm,
extremely specific goals. I wasn't out, I mean, I listened to a lot of your videos, and some people like, 400% growth in my business in 2 months. And I'm like, I'm very methodical.
mhm,
I've got a very large platform-based business I need to manage and grow. I under, I know that understanding how to acquire customers is a full-time proposition. I'm not going to be able to give it 100% of my time because I have this other business that's not only paying my bills and my son's college tuition and all that, but it's a business, it's my business. So
mhm,
I would say I gave from the get-go, I gave it about half my time and a good portion of my brain power. And I very methodically went through the modules,
mm,
which, by the way, were organized beautifully. I mean, it stepped you through from start to finish all the different skill sets you need to develop, all the different mindsets you need to develop, all the different way of thinking you need, and the platforms that you have to get used to. A lot of moving parts to this, a lot. So I thought the videos were excellent. I mean, Daryl was great, and I watched and rewatched and took notes. And you layer one bit of knowledge on top of another as you go. Then you have to go back and redo, and the education was incredible. It
deserved.
was really, really incredible. But the most important part, and this was the goal that I had set for myself besides the education,
Mm,
because I consider the education a life skill set. If I learn to do this right, I can take any number of subsets from my my 2000 designs, right?
mhm,
And go at this again and again and again. But I need to learn the skill sets.
mm,
So that was point number one. Point number two was I want to bootstrap this business right from the start. I do not want to take a whole lot of money out of my own pocket. I want to get ads and get them returning a profit, but something right
mhm,
off the bat. And I did that within 10 weeks. Within 10 weeks, I had a ROAS of about 2.4, 2.5. Okay, nothing huge, but
mhm,
for somebody just starting, I'll take it, right? And I was able through my ads, through all the training, to craft an ad. I thought my average order value was going to be 40, $50. I thought I was going to struggle to get that because that's what I do on Amazon, right? But I saw, once I got into it, and I'm like, well, no, this is
mm,
different. I can craft that ad to suggest any bundle or anything that I want. So a lot of me going back was like, no, I that's not okay with me. So I
mm,
altered and, suggested, and my ads were written to suggest larger bundles, and I did. So, my average order value ended up being $70, which was solely a function of the education I got, teaching me that that was possible. Another thing that was really hard for me before I jumped on and that I was looking for something like this, was that I knew enough. I didn't understand exactly what was involved in acquiring new clients, but I knew it was a massive process with a lot of moving parts.
mm,
And part of it was I didn't know what to prioritize first.
mm,
Should I just jump in and learn email marketing really quick? And you know, that's a science unto itself. Or should I do the creative part? Or what was most important? Like I didn't know where to start. So it was a logical sequence of steps that would ultimately get me to what should come first? And then what do I
mhm,
layer on next? And then what do I layer on after that? And that became crystal clear after I got really into the modules.
mm,
I mean, Daryl was incredible in those modules. I mean, I would stop. his video and take the transcript and underline and make notes, because something that was like a throwaway comment for him was like life altering for me, right? No, I mean, you shouldn't even be worried about this until this is happening. I'm like, oh my God, that's just what I was like thinking about. So there's just so much in the course itself. And then once I started the ads, like doing a search in the community for all the other people who had been there before me and encountered the same issues, it was like the other half of the puzzle. You guys, you've nailed the support thing. First off, the community is so supportive. I mean, I've gone on with a question or something, and I've had other members jump on, but hand down, the moderators, I mean, all three of them or four of them, however many you have at the time, within 24 hours, they're all jumping in on it, like, and answering. So I've never felt alone or out there. I've always felt totally supportive. And, once again, I'm pretty good I'm a very good lurker. So I'll go out in the community. I'm really good at searching. I know people have had this question before, right? So
Mhm.
I'll type in, and I don't know, 8 out of 10 times it was answered for me at some point. So the community's been wonderful. I would say you got to invest your time and you've got to invest your money. If you're serious about going on your own, this is a commitment. But I mean, right now I can feel the possibilities, right? If I was doing this full time, I'd be turning out like a new ad set every week
Mhm.
and testing them. And oh, and there's another oh, I think I told you this, but because I waited and really explored my offer really well and went back and looked at it, I was profitable almost from the beginning. So I never lost a dollar on running ads.
Mhm.
Like everything I
Mhm.
put out there, I got back and then some, right? And as my cost per purchase dropped because I got better at refining my ads, and as Meta got more accustomed to who to show it to, my ROAS rose.
Mhm.
And because of that, I had a little pot of money that I could continue to put into. That's the bootstrapping, right?
Yep.
And and because of that, I feel like the sky's the limit for me with this,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm going to continue to be methodical, and I'm going to continue to question when something doesn't make sense. And I'm going to continue to come to the group and see how other people have dealt with this issue. And I'm going to ask a question and have somebody look at things if I feel I need to go there. But other than that, I feel much more capable and confident in taking a risk now, because now it's a calculated risk.
Mm.
Now it's an informed risk. And I've still got miles to go. I know I do, but I feel like I've got my 2 feet firmly planted on the path now.
Mm.
And that's
That's
a
amazing.
wonderful feeling.